Well, we'll see how it's going to go here. In fact, you know, personally for me, I can't pick a favorite here. We're going to find out real soon, though, after map 1. The Rebellion heading out on Jkaru on the Reinhardt. It is Jkaru. We figured that out. Meanwhile, Tea Party heading out on 3-3.
This is going to be a 3-3 versus 3-3 fight. The mirror for both squads. Montreal rolling onto the low ground first, trying to pressure, have that early contest on point if possible, as you see how split they're playing. They're not playing grouped. Tea Party on the high ground playing together. Going to drop soon to move towards the point. See the shield pressure coming out for both squads.
Both teams going to rotate directly into the point. Tea Party, slight edge moving into it, but Montreal going to be taking the fight directly to them. Both teams looking for an edge in the poke battle. Montreal, Logix and Naga getting very low. Jkaru, though, able to take down far early. And Montreal, this is fine. They can give up first cap and just restabilize. As long as Smex doesn't get demeched, they can wait, they can head back in. Ace of Spades already down. And Montreal, even though they lose Jkaru, they're still in a better spot, especially with the rally.
Also using the rally there. I don't think the rally was necessary, but they're going to use it to guarantee the flip. First flip going the way of Tea Party, but first fight going the way of Montreal, which we've talked about previously, especially with 3-3 mirrors. It's very important because the ult economy, winning that fight, is just very, very strong.
Well, the Rebellion in a better spot here so far. Graviton, Transcendence up and ready. Tea Party will be looking for a way. And again, coming in from the high ground, though, doesn't really matter too much on approach, given where they have to fight Montreal.
You see Tensa trying to get the boop off. Actually survives the somehow getting caught.
Just got launched.
Yeah, he got launched, but survived after being caught in addition. But the boop from Naga with the flail. Bye-bye, blub blub. No transfer grab.
Easy cleanup after that. Very easy. Good knockoff to start it all up. And Montreal looking dominant here so far, where, you know, it's a little bit misleading going, oh, Tea Party got first control. Didn't really matter. Montreal is playing for first fight.
Montreal holding on to 4 ults. Naga likely going to build another rally, though, in the fight. Without a grab, Tea Party's grab becomes a lot more accessible. They won't have to worry about getting counter grab, not being able to get the follow-up. But Ultraviolet does have that Transcendence. Tensa has the beat, so the supports are available for Montreal.
This is the fight that Tea Party should win. Everything is up. They're going to use the grab right after the rally. Here comes the self-destruct on the other side, looking for a little bit of peel. Ace of Spades in a rough spot, getting focused. Tea Party burned through just about everything here at this point. Instead, Shatter coming in from Montreal. Ace of Spades, though, able to shrug it on off, moves on forward. Both teams burning through their supply ultimates here. Graviton coming in a little bit later, and Tea Party getting the worst end of it, losing 2. Montreal off of Logix's grab, taking the fight.
Logix building that grab during the fight. And most importantly, what was looked to be extremely grim at one point, where they were all caught in that grab from Amadian, even though with the trance. A good defensive bomb for Smex, keeping the follow-up away from Tea Party. Because you can't get a charge, you can't go for the aggressive pushes unless you want to invest bubbles while Diva Bomb is directly on your grab. The opposing Diva Bomb, as you see the intro of Tea Party here again, they need to get the flip because the time is taking down.
Tea Party coming in with precious little Ace of Spades, ends up falling. Just had to head to point the trigger overtime, but now with 2 down, Tea Party, very little options to bring this back. Amadian gets a DMAC, but it's not going to amount to much. Even with the grab being built up mid-fight, and Spec's gone. Montreal's in a much better spot. The shadow from Jkaru, just to be sure. And the grab does not do enough. It's going to be Montreal taking round 1.
Spades coming back in, but going to get cleaned up very quickly. So this is round 1 for Ilios for Montreal, and that was, despite that early flip, distinctly Montreal's favor. They held the point the entire time. They won the fights. They used their ults effectively, especially that defensive bomb from Smex. That's going to be 1-0 on Ilios.
Well, I also think the grim moment there for Tea Party is the fight where they move in, they have 6 ults. Yes, Montreal wasn't exactly dreading themselves. They had 4 to start with and built up the rest in the middle of the fight. That's still the type of fight that Tea Party really needed to win. And even if they had won that fight, they weren't necessarily going to win the map, but that was what they needed to at least have a shot. And the fact that they lose a fight like that is just a grim omen for the rest of the series.
And really, when you look at that 6-0 fight, it wasn't an easy fight to win still, because the thing about teams have evolved their use of ultimates in 3-3 as time has gone on. And you see that it becomes a lot harder to follow up on 6 ults because of the use of Diva Bomb, because of how you use your grab to peel for you. It becomes a lot harder to follow up on those 6 ult fights.
And so immediately moving on forward, looking for the displacement boot. Montreal just holding a little bit further back. Jkaru, though, eating a lot of poke damage early on. Just barely able to get out of the line of fire. Tensa with the boop on the other side, far. Finding himself very removed from the battle. Now 6-on-5, Montreal, if they can just heal and move on in, it's going to be a clean advantage. Fossman in real danger of getting DMAC'd. Tea Party on the ropes, and look at the boop, ace of spades, thrown into the pit. A pack of lions in Montreal just eat him on up.
Losing Brigitte in that first fight. That's a crucial pick because even though Montreal was low at points, as long as your Brigitte lives, as long as your team survives, the longer the fight runs, the stronger you are because of that extra sustain, because of the extra peel for your backline. Now Naga has a much earlier rally. You see how aggressive Montreal are holding here, which indicates that they just want to rally into them. They want Tea Party to come into them. They want to use that rally to get the cleanup, continue to build up their ults. They know they have a much higher advantage than Far due to that early pickoff. So it should be, in their eyes, a free fight win.
Montreal coming back right now. Tea Party deciding to go up Main Street. Logic's coming on, 86% towards grab. I don't think they can do anything too crazy, but no, actually they go in for the shatter. Chikaro wanting to taste the blood. Ace of Spades going to be paying the price. Graviton in a little bit later, and they finish it on off. And the scary part there is Blub uses Transcendence for Tea Party, and it's likely not going to be resulting in anything. Montreal just finishing it on out, and that might have been the backbreaker for bringing back this round.
That was actually an incredibly smart rotation with Tea Party, where it looked like they were going to go Mega Peck from the front side, but then move main. And Montreal had shifted, so they did not have their Reinhardt there. Jakaro was not there. They had to turn to deal with that threat. And Ace of Spades is able to get a shatter, but still, no fight win for Tea Party, partially off an extremely clutch armor pack from Naga, making sure that Ultraviolet did not commit the trance. They still hold on to these ults. There's no grab for Amadian, so it's a free trance potentially for Ultraviolet. Montreal have a great position.
We're looking for it right now. Smex punishes Ace. And now in the 6-on-5, Montreal just going to be running directly at Tea Party and make it 2. And Tea Party going to be lucky to get one more decent fight left. Not much time left in the round. 84% to Montreal. Montreal is stacked for the final fight.
Last fight territory, and Far just used Rally. Amadian's really not that close to the grab. They need to touch point as well. And there's a real possibility that with the bomb from Specs and Logic's grab, they can zone them entirely off the point. They might not be able to touch it. If they are able to, they're going to die for it.
Well, they're going to move in. They're hoping for the miracle. No! Mid-beat! Dantol goes down. Logic's just beams him out. It was a desperate situation, and now just so much more. Nothing that Tea Party can do here. The bomb not going to be taking down the entire team, which is what would have been required. Montreal dominating the Tea Party.
That was a fast control. Montreal looking much cleaner this week than they did last. Part of it could be it's a Tea Party. It's a trials team that's finding its footing in the Contenders level. But Tea Party not able to find the openings they needed. Montreal really just dominant on every level. Better ult usage, better hold of the chokes. They also were winning the shield war every approach. Ace of Spades that last fight, the fight previously, his shield was broken immediately on entry and he goes down.
The neutral game was just won by them, period. Neutral game won, ult economy won, just better priorities in general. I mean, the closest Tea Party ever did to doing anything in the series was they got first point control on round 1, but what does that matter if you lose first fight? Nothing. Doesn't matter.
So it is going to be one map up for the Montreal Rebellion. And this is a team that's been up and down throughout Contenders. Their short Contenders history so far, where last season they struggled a lot early. They bring in Gauze and Sharik. They don't really have, they have a much better season. They make it to playoffs against all odds, but then they get promoted to Overwatch League, and now they've had to create a whole new tank line. They get Smex, XNRG, they get Jakaro. And looks like so far that they can prove themselves above some of the newly promoted Trials teams, but they're going to have to create more consistency and more of a high-level play if they want to go further into the playoffs.
Well, again, the big bad raid boss to worry about here for them is, what is Envy doing? How do you bring this fight to Envy? Although, on the same note, this is where seeding matters a whole lot as well, right? Where the Contenders playoff format, it's not double elimination, but if you do well enough, you can get on the side of the bracket that Envy's not on. And that means if you get to the grand finals, well, guess what? You're still going to the gauntlet. So, you know, there is a very strong desire here where even if you won't be a team that's good enough to beat Envy, you still want to go out of your way to get the second seed.
We're going to get into our second map soon for both squads. And Tea Party, when we saw them last week, we saw a real playmakers for them was around Fossman and Amadian. And this series, they just did not have the same impact at all. They were not able to get the space they needed. They weren't able to get that free damage. Montreal giving them the pressure and just taking out Ace of Spades so early in all these fights means they just don't have any space to do anything.
Well, in defense of Amadian, if you think back to what we saw last week, Amadian looked a lot better once we started moving in, particularly to Assault, but maps that give you more of the ability to just sit up in pre-planned positions and beam down on your enemies. Now, part of that is that Amadian was given a lot of room. A lot of room, where there was points where Amadian was literally not moving and just melting down those he was up against. So will Amadian be getting that level of space here against Montreal? Probably unlikely.
So I get into Paris now. Going to be our second map of the series. Going to be the Assault. Have to see what both teams can bring back. Tea Party now going to have to find some answers to the pressure that Montreal is bringing in the neutral game. They're overall much better ult exchanges. Montreal going to be on defense first. Running a solo healer. Tensa on the Mercy. Ultraviolet actually playing Junkrat. A little bit different than some of the solo heal comps we've seen on Paris fairly often. A lot of this is going to be based around, can Logix and Naga get those picks, and can Ultraviolet build that fast tire? As Tea Party now going to be deciding what to do. Looking to go full dive.
I think this is smart because Montreal, they're just looking to overwhelm. Where for Tea Party, what you really need here, get something that can strike at the Achilles heel of these solo support compositions, which is something that can take down the solo support. If you remove Tensa from the fight, that's all you need.
That's all you need. The dive comes out for Tea Party. Far already trapped. Can they pick him up, though?
Tensa's... Well, no, it's not Tensa. It's
Antal
on the other side. So one Mercy falls, and it's not the one that needs the fall. Montreal still in a really good spot here. And this is the problem when you're running this much damage. It's overwhelming. If you don't get your target immediately, you're just going to fall.
And here's the situation as well. When you look at Montreal's composition, there's no Diva. There is a Hog. So for Tea Party, though they're on dive, and I agree with the dive swap, maybe try to pressure the point a little bit. If you're running the Sombra, you can get there. You can make Specs turn around. That's one less threat you have to worry about. There's no hook then. You don't have to worry about your dive getting hooked, getting pushed into the trap, or into the damage where they don't want to be. Point presence here can be extremely important. Tea Party now, they're throwing the nade, a set nade over the top, trying to catch them, and here comes the engage.
Oh, the engage comes in. Logix already picks off one. Ultraviolet down, but here's the problem. They need to get a little bit more. That is very resible after the fight. And Montreal, again, just overwhelming damage. Multiple down from Tea Party directly. And the resurrection's going to come in. It's like no one died at all.
And when you're having these just dives into the enemy team without any presence, without any point pressure, or poke pressure, because they're not removing J-Caro's shield either. They're not going to sit there and exchange because they can't win the damage roll on Ultraviolet's on Junkrat and the double sniper, and they have to fear Specs' hook. If they're going to be playing this composition, I think they're going to have to either poke a lot more since they're waiting for ults, or get point presence. They're going to go for another dive off the nade here again. Amadian will have EMP. If this EMP can catch everyone, it is a winnable fight.
It's EMP versus Valkyrie here. Tensa needs Valkyrie before the EMP comes out, or they can just do that. They can take down 3 before the EMP can even be used. Dragon Strike, full hog, or whole hog rather. Not a combo you would expect to be that devastating, but was in this case.
Well, once you've used all your cooldowns to get in, along with a lot of Vossman's Matrix, on top of the fact that the halt from J-Caro brings everyone back into it, that halt combo, that's one of the benefits of running the Orisa, is you can halt people into those ults. And I like the use of that, only having to use that ult because, and the whole hog, because they're both ults that are not very effective against dive generally. So good play for Montreal, and now this is the fight where Tea Party are looking to win it. Antal actually going Batiste, but they have EMP, they have Nano Blade. This is all they need.
EMP hits Tensa. Tensa knocked Mila Valkyrie in response. Far with the Nano Blade, directly to the back. Chops him on up. And the real danger there for Montreal is realized. They're not able to Valkyrie in time. They still pick off 2, but this is going to be very difficult to bring back. It's just too much done off the EMP engage. Specs still hanging around here. This would be something if Logic and Specs are able to bring this back. And Specs gets another! This is winnable! Logix gets another!
Logix gets a third! I mean, Logix is going to die now to Fossman, but Specs is on point, and Fossman does not win that duel. Far made a huge mistake. He thought he had killed Specs at that final swing of the blade, but Specs was still alive. It allowed him to get the healing up, kill Far, and then rotate and play around Logix. A huge mistakes for Tea Party there off that engage, and all this time off the clock. We're in last fight territory, and they have no ults.
Montreal is fully back, and they're just going to immediately Valkyrie. It's last fight territory. Now Specs finally falls a little bit far out. Mistake made from Montreal here. Still resible in a sense, but I don't think Tensa's going to go for it. It's not worth in this situation. There's something they can still bring back. 5 on 6. Delay. Wait for Specs to be the hero here once more. Naga hanging in the back. Tea Party moving to point. Logix finally finds a pick. 5 on 5. Still waiting for Specs. And Logix another one! Logix is holding in the back. One pick off followed by another. The Widow pressure here has been sublime. And Specs is about back into the fight. And the whole hog, it's going to crack through the shields.
Glub down as well. Logic's playing these angles. Tea Party, a lot of ticks on the point now. Logic should be able to get this frag, but can they stop point presence? They need to stop point presence. The Dragon's out for Naga. Tinsa's there. Smex is up.
Smex out the whole hog, breaks the remainder of the shields, and that's going to be it. A first point hold for Montreal. Thank you, Mr. Logix.
And when you come back to it, the true Pyrrhic sadness of all this is that Farah thought he had gotten that final swing onto Smex. If Farah had managed to get Smex before the heal comes out, that's a completely different fight. That probably is not a first hold. They had so many other picks. Farah then combined with Fosman would have likely been able to take down Logix. But because Farah dies, he's not alive to pressure Logix. He's not able to get Smex, who's then able to then keep the point presence even though Fosman's alive. One small thing there, deciding the entire map.
I also think Tea Party just thought they had won the fight. They had taken down 4 members of Montreal, and how often, particularly in Paris, do you see a team fight back with just 2 members? It's pretty rare, and even at a high competitive level like this is where a team can go into and just be like, okay, we haven't won, and then you quickly realize, wait, we don't. It's like, 1 pickoff, not a big deal. 2 pickoffs, all right, starting to feel a little bit not good about this. And it just kept intensifying between Smex and Logix, who were not properly finished off, as you brought up. And now, the game is still winnable for Tea Party, but they're going to need a fuller hold.
And the win condition's there. They don't have to worry about a draw. This is definitely a winnable fight for Tea Party. They have to have a perfect defense, and we've seen so far in the last series with XL2 versus Revival is that relying on perfect defenses is a lot harder than just tapping first. Because you have to put yourself into a corner, you have to deal with the offensive swaps that can always outpick you. All they need is one good fight to win the map. As Montreal, they're rolling out here on the triple DPS, Naga on the Pharah, Logix on the Hanzo. And I like this comp, I like the triple DPS, even though Amadian gets that early pick on the Naga. But you can try to get the shield presence and slowly but surely win the map and hopefully get an EMP.
I mean, the key here for Montreal, again, is that they're not really under time pressure, even though I don't think Sombra is the greatest versus the recent compositions. One fight. It's just simple math here. You just need one fight, and okay, Smex might be going back to swap here. I think that's exactly what's happening. They're going full dive. Yeah.
They're going to get the D.Va. They're going to get Logix now onto the Sombra.
Interesting.
I feel like, if anything, a Tracer would have been fine here in this scenario.
I mean, Sombra to a degree is giving you about 80% of what Tracer does in terms of just raw damage, but you still have the EMP to fall back on, and EMP is stronger than Pulse Bomb, to put it mildly.
EMP is a much better ult.
I think it's fine. That's what they go for. They're going to leap on in. Immediately going for the disruption. Antol in the back gang, really, really low, but Antol still alive, just able to fly on out. The Tea Party will sustain.
Tea Party will sustain, and now it's a race. It's the race for the Nano Blade and the EMP. This is what they've committed to. If Montreal made the swap and they're going to stay on this comp, rather than play the shield presence and try to out-snipe and make sure they don't lose those counterfrags to Amadian and Fosman, their whole play now is to play for EMP, to play for Nano Blade, maybe even a bomb to enter. Tea Party are going to have Blizzard, they're going to have Supercharger, they're going to have Valk. They have plenty of ults to weather the storm here in this next fight as long as no one's picked off. Supercharger alone is enough.
Again, for Montreal, I don't think they need to burn really much of anything here. They might burn the Nano, and this year, if nothing else, it's going to get ult to have Tea Party. And Logix gets Antol early. Now actually more on the winnable spectrum as Logic moves to the back line. Logix getting very close to EMP. And this is a good fight for Montreal where, sure, are they falling? Yes, but the Nano made a lot of resources get drained from Tea Party.
I'll trade a Nano for Blizzard, Supercharger, and Valkyrie any day. Sure, Blub will have Molten Core available, its own, but that's really not that much. It's not a lot of power. Logix has the EMP. J-Caro will get the Primal, so they have the option they need to remove the cooldowns for Tea Party and come forward now, look for an anti. They'll build Blade off this EMP, or at least they should.
Early EMP, and they use it to just remove Ace of Spades immediately. Antol not out of the woods yet either, still struck by the hack. Down 1, 5-on-5. Amadian in danger in the back. Smex all over it. Advantage to Montreal. Now they're going to move this party over to the point. Jakaru on Primal Rage. Already finds May. Looking for more disruption. Tea Party just getting battered about. Torbjorn thrown very far from the point. And now the progress can begin. Montreal with an overwhelming advantage. And somehow I don't think Widow and Roadhog picks are walking through that door.
No, and even if they do. There's the blade for Naga, cleaning up everyone, just slashing the air right now. And this will be second map going the way of Montreal.
Montreal, decisive towards the end. They kept in mind their win conditions. They set up the final fight very well with the Nano engage. And then they hit Tea Party with everything, including the kitchen sink, to end things at the very end. And that's going to be a quick 2-0 favor of Montreal.
Montreal looking extremely in control, making some good swaps. And I think for Paris, that was actually very winnable for Tea Party. They played around some of their strengths with a very excellent Mei, Amadi, and an incredible Widow. What they really needed there was just a second healer. They had Blub on Torb. Which isn't bad if you're only looking to get time off the clock and then go to a second fight, stop the second push and then swap. But when you need to hold first, I think you must have a second healer because you need to have a trance or a sleep or a beat or anything, a defensive ult, against your EMPs, against your nano blades. And they didn't, which is part of the reason why they couldn't survive.
Well, Montreal has been looking absolutely dominant here thus far. Does Tea Party have what it takes to bring the series back? Potentially force map 5 in a reverse sweep? We'll see in just a few moments.